All right, good morning. I think I met most of you. So I do a lot of public speaking, and I normally, I always speak from the heart, but I usually have a really well-scripted, choreographed message. I'm not going to do that today. And I'm not going to do that for two reasons. One is that this is family. You know, we're all here as part of the Launch family, and I really feel that way with you guys. And also, today, if you count today as work, today is my last day at work for the U.S. government. So this will be the last talk. Guys, it's good to see you guys really want to see me go, but that's good. So you know, this will be the last talk I give as an employee of the United States government. So we're gonna make this a little laid back, and I do want to share some really great things with you. About 4 years ago, I was on a bus. I was sitting in the back right of the bus, and the bus was going from the Orlando airport to the Kennedy Space Center. And some guy named Alex Dagan sits down next to me, and we're riding out to the launch water, the first launch water. And that started an amazing journey. It started an amazing journey of friendships. It started an amazing journey of impact, global impact. And it really started this path of trying to use the collective genius to solve the problems that we all face. And you know, we don't have a choice anymore. We really don't. This is not something that we have the option to do. We have to set aside our differences. We have to work together, or we're not going to solve the problems that we face. They're getting bigger and bigger, and we're going to have to work together to solve that. So you guys all have the right perspective. I want to hopefully reinforce that perspective today. I want to maybe shift and just look at things from a big picture perspective, and hopefully demonstrate and illustrate the amazing possibilities that are afforded by taking this big picture view. And so, you know, I want to pan back, and this is a picture I took in 2011 of Ethiopia and Yemen and Somalia. And, you know, I launched into space in 2011 with this belief that we have all the technology and all the resources necessary to solve the problems that we all face. And so over the 6 months I was in space, I spent the majority of that time gazing back at our Earth and wondering, you know, why, if that's true, why do we still face so many critical issues? And there was a couple of things that happened during my mission that really changed the perspective. And one of them was one time, this is a picture of me in the cupola of the space station. And the cupola is this big windowed observatory. It's basically a bubble on the bottom of the space station where we can go in there and we could see the Earth. And I was going there to take some pictures for a video project I was working on, a time lapse, when this picture popped up. And if it's possible to take the lights down a little bit, this really intrigued me, what this long illuminated line was. And I had no idea what it was. I assumed it was a natural reflection. So obviously this is at night. I thought it might have been the moon. But it turns out what this actually is the man-made illuminated border between India and Pakistan. And this really hit me in the gut, seeing this from space. And the reason why it hit me in the gut is because this is a man-made barrier to collaboration that is clearly visible from space. And so it really hit home to me that we have all these problems still, despite the technology that we have, despite the resources we have, primarily because of our inability to collaborate on a global scale. And so Launch is about collaborating, and as I heard Beth say, it's hopefully leading to collaborating on a global scale. And it's really a step in the right direction, and one that we have to take. And those of you who have heard me speak before know that I always talk about this sobering contradiction that we see when we look at the Earth. And the sobering contradiction is, on the one hand, you know, you could see how beautiful the planet that we've been given is. On the other hand, are those unfortunate realities for a significant portion of the people that live here. And you know, I don't need to list off all the problems. I think we all know them. And so, you know, how do we fix this? You know, what is the key to getting from point A to point B? What is the key to solving these problems? And I think it really is simply setting aside our differences and working together towards our common goals. And let me, you know, just say that this is like a little tagline I like using because it's true. I mean, the key is we, and if you look at this picture, what this picture represents to me, it's obviously the International Space Station. Space Shuttle Endeavour is docked to that. It was the last mission of Space Shuttle Endeavour. But what it represents to me is 15 nations coming together and building this enormous, unbelievably capable research facility in orbit. 15 nations, not that, in some cases, we're not always the best of friends. And so what really is apparent to me, and should be, I think, apparent to everybody, is if we could do that in space, imagine what we could do on the ground by working together. And a lot of these parts never even fit together until they were launched and brought into orbit. And so one of the things that, I didn't have a lot of free time when I was up there, but what free time I had, I spent wondering what the world was going to look like in 50 years, and wondering, what problems would exist and what problems wouldn't exist. And, it really dawned on me that the first step to effecting real change is to believe that real change is possible. And I really, truly believe that it's possible to live in a world where everybody has access to water, nobody goes to bed hungry every night, people don't die from preventable or curable diseases, a world where all the children are educated, because I do believe that we live in a world where the possibilities are only limited by our imagination and our will to act. And one of the things that I think is going to be an engine for all this is open, transparent collaboration. And I believe that because I think that solutions are better when you create solutions in an open and transparent manner. You can reduce duplication of effort, loss of efficiency, greater accountability, which fosters trust. The list goes on and on of all the benefits that come from this. And what I believe is, in addition to applications for research and many, many other benefits, I believe that open, transparent collaboration will also be an economic engine. I think it's going to fuel a tremendous economic growth. And what I think you'll see, and I think we're already seeing this shift right now, is those organizations and individuals that engage in unhealthy competition and corruption, those organizations that take an exclusively proprietary mindset. I understand that IP is important and that has, it has to be balanced, because that does spur innovation. But those organizations that just across the board take on an exclusively proprietary mindset will see themselves being left behind. And we'll have to adapt and evolve and take on a much more cooperative and collaborative mindset in order to keep up with the economic growth that true open collaboration will bring. And so I really do think the key is we. This is a picture of Space Shuttle Atlantis as it was coming aboard the space station on the last mission of the Space Shuttle program. And it's over the Bahamas. So just another view of the beauty of our planet. So the Space Shuttle, as it comes aboard, it does a maneuver called the RPM, where it does a flip, and we take pictures from the space station of the tiles underneath. And as they were coming aboard, getting ready to do that flip, we flew over the Bahamas, and I had to take that quick snap right there. So I want to talk about a couple of projects that are coming down the pipe, and one is Unity Node. I gave a talk the other day at the Social Good Summit where we announced a global Google Plus Hangout to discuss collaboration. That's going to take place on October 11th at 11 o'clock. We'd love to get everybody involved. And the goal is to be a catalyst to start a global conversation around the need for collaboration. I think we all get it here. I think Launch is a great example of global collaboration, but unfortunately, there's still a lot of pockets that don't get that. So Unity Node is a project that I hope all of you get involved in. It's a project that's basically, in a nutshell, is trying to unify efforts to create a universal open source platform for collaboration. So it's not an entity, it's not a technical platform, it's not the one site to rule them all, it's not the one database to rule them all. It's simply building an international coalition to basically create the philosophy that data sharing is the norm. By default, we share our data, whether it's humanitarian data, crisis response data, the list goes on and on. The default is we share that data. And so we're trying to engage funding organizations to be a part of this. And so I think that we will be able to show that it's in everybody's best interest to share their data, to share their resources, to share their insights and solving the problems that we all face. But until that becomes the norm, I think that if funding organizations say, in order for me to fund your project, you have to demonstrate the basic level of transparency and openness by participating in this data share platform and by sharing this basic level of data. I mean, it's ridiculous how in crisis response, for instance, we don't know how many tents there are, where the tents are, where there's clean water, where there's not clean water. And it's really tends to be a mess in a lot of situations, and it doesn't need to be. So we also hope that this Google Plus Hangout on October 11th leads to a hackathon where we start building the basic foundation of what this will look like, followed by a summit where we bring together all the stakeholders. So, by the way, since I'm not carefully choreographed and scripted, that means that I'm not really paying attention to the time either. So where's Diane? Just get the hook at some point, and I'll stop talking. So Fragile Oasis is another effort. So let me just back up for a second, because back before Launch Water, I got this email that said, congratulations, you've been selected as one of the top 10 innovators in the field of water. You get to have an all-expenses-paid trip to the Kennedy Space Center. You might get to meet an astronaut. And you'll probably get to see a space shuttle launch. And I said, well, I really appreciate that, but there's absolutely no way that NASA Legal is going to let me do this because I'm an employee of NASA. And so Beth Beck, where is she? One of the miracles, the reason why, this is the second miracle of Beth Beck. The first miracle was that she was able to work that through NASA Legal, and they did it, basically looked into it and figured that nobody knew that I was an employee, or that the people in our organization are employees of NASA, and so it was able to participate. And then Fragile Oasis is an effort to basically use the perspective of our planet to inspire people to go out and make a difference. And it also has collaborative tools, and Ben and Adam from Bolster were the designers of the site, and Beth was very instrumental in getting this off the ground, and it's something that's going to continue and hopefully do a lot of good. I already talked about open data. I like using this slide as open data in the wide open spaces, and this is one of my favorite pictures because I imagine, you can't see my feet in this picture, but I always imagine that I have 1 foot in darkness and 1 foot in light, or 1 foot in day and 1 foot in night. And so, and then I think I'm running out of time, so I'm going to skip over this, but I really feel strongly that open data is, and especially within the government, is going to be a really powerful thing. But we're producing data at an exponential rate, but our ability to process that data and to use that data and to use that data for good is not keeping up. So we've got to have ways to be able to make use of all that data. And so one of the ways is a hackathon. And so the International Space Apps Challenge was a hackathon. It was a global hackathon. I think it was, at the time, and maybe still is, the largest hackathon ever. And basically, NASA has terabytes and terabytes of data, and we wanted to make that available to citizen scientists and universities and industry to be able to do good with that data. But there's a difference between turning that data over to those organizations and turning it over in a way that's usable. The International Space Apps Challenge, over the course of a weekend, we've done this a few times, but the last one was in 86 cities, and Ali Llewellyn was very instrumental in that, and so correct me if I'm wrong on any of these numbers, but it was 86 cities, 44 countries on all 7 continents, and it just made amazing data visual, again, the thumbs up, okay, good. So amazing data visualizations, open hardware solutions, and it really set the tone of what you can do with data, and we're gonna continue to do that, and Deborah Diaz is here, and she had a lot to do with that too, and I'm probably forgetting other people, but so you guys know about this. So I think the secret to the problems that we all face is to have the courage to step outside of our stovepipes, step outside of the way we've always done things, and embrace new and innovative partnerships. And LAUNCH.org, the Launch Forum, is an example of cross-disciplinary action. It's an example of basically taking a holistic approach and solving these problems. So how do we scale things? Co-Impact, we've got Spud Marshall and Alan Webb here. A lot of startups, a lot of social innovation fails, even the ones that have funding, because they lack expertise. And so this is an effort that we're trying to get off the ground to basically provide basic business expertise to these startups to get them off the ground, to make them fly. And I'm talking fast because I'm running out of time. So ideas are highly overrated. You know what I mean by that is, I go to a lot of conferences where we talk about solving the problems facing our planet. And it's good to have dialogue. But dialogue that doesn't lead to action is a waste of time. And I'm not saying that they are, but this forum is all about action. We are getting things done here, so we don't just talk about it. We have a path forward and a path to create the positive impact that we want to do. So to steal a slogan from our Nike friends, we don't need as much talking anymore. We need to start doing some things. And then I'll just close here because I'm getting the hook I'm feeling it on my neck here, is that I honestly believe that nothing is impossible, that if we take a moonshot mentality on some of the problems that we face, we can solve them. And the perfect example is, going to the moon. People thought that it was impossible to go to the moon because we had never done it before. We tend to think things that we've never done before aren't possible. People seem to think that it's impossible to raise the entire population of the Earth out of poverty because we've always had the poor and we always will have the poor. I don't think that's true. I think we actually can lift the entire population of the world out of poverty. And if we could go to the moon and return back, we can solve these problems by working together. So I'm out of time, and I'll say thank you.